A little change of pace today, Dan. I'm going to be the host. Welcome, everybody. It's Saturday. Today at the races, live here at Laurel Park. Sloppy track conditions today. We'll take a look at the main track. Unfortunately, the rains, they came last night. Just glad to have Dan Illman here with me from the Daily Racing Forum. He is their Mid-Atlantic correspondent, their lead handicapper for the Maryland circuit. And if you haven't paid attention to Dan's work, please do so. He does a thorough job for the Daily Racing Forum covering Maryland racing. Dan, good to have you.
It's great to be here as always. I'm not going to let this wet weather dampen my enthusiasm. Holiday spirit in the air right now at Laurel Park. 2 stakes races. Highly anticipated matchup in the boys race. I'm really looking forward to post time against Johnny Z from Albany. Kind of sizzle versus steak a little bit.
It is, no doubt about it. Johnny Z from Albany, he was lights out last time out in the Maryland Million. Took the initiative early, went right to the front and just ran them off their feet. Dead game to the wire. Got post time, a little quirky. He's got his issues, no doubt about it. He's trying to mature a little bit at a quick pace, but he has got a load of talent. Is it just those 2, you think?
I think in that race it's just those 2 right now. They're 2 of the fastest horses on the circuit. 4 2-year-olds in Maryland have earned 84 Beyer speed figures. Those are 2 of them. The other 2 are not in the race. We also have a late pick 5 carryover, industry low 12% takeout. You want to get involved there. This is a very challenging card.
It is. I looked at one of the starters. I think it was race 6. Just inscrutable. I wrote down on the page. So let's get right to it. We've got the Giving Tree today, so take advantage of that. We'll have a little board to show you later after the show concerning the Giving Tree. But we get started. We've got a scratch in the opener, scratch the 2. If then, we've got fillies and mares, 3 in life basically, because nobody's won 3. You've got this split condition. Sometimes the 3-year-olds have won more. Dan, you like Maravigliosa. I know one of your better bets of today's card.
And we do have a video, I believe, of Maravigliosa's most recent race. And this race is for the 16 non-winners at 2 life. And this is a pretty impressive performance because this horse just brushes on the turn, takes command, and keeps on going for Claudio and the X-Man. Some folks might say, well, the horse ran for 16 last time, dropping for 10. That's a suspicious move. I don't believe so at all because, as you mentioned, Keith, this race today is a 3 life. This race that we're seeing right now is a 2 life. And Maravigliosa, after making that brush, is going to stay on gamely. I like this outside post. I just think a similar trip is coming.
Yeah, I like the comment from our chart caller that day. I wasn't here on the 7th. I was down in New Orleans, right, visiting my daughter. Little Ravens action that day. But anyhow, yeah, took the rating early. That was the key and really moved up smoothly around the turn. Plenty left in the tank to deter any rivals coming on. This horse is proven over and off track. You could say, I think this is the correct move. Maybe a step sideways against the talent, but she looks like she's going in the right direction. Honor Your Mother. This is my kind of price user in here. I think the 7 clearly, Dan, is the horse to beat. But Honor Your Mother is a filly I think is cycling back towards one of her top races. She comes out of the race. The last 2, she had to face Red Queen. We saw her on the race yesterday run a good closing second. Yesterday's racetrack held speed. I think she's got that positional speed to kind of get the jump on Maravigliosa. Does she have the finishing punch? Does she kind of get used up a little bit, kind of dealing with Amiga?
But I think this is a sneaky class drop for both Honor Your Mother and the horse coming out of the last race, Scamper Along. It's very important, folks, to look back into your past performances and see what those beaten conditions are. Because Honor Your Mother was last time facing Red Queen, who was a 3-time winner going in. Now she's dropping into a strict non-winners of 3 life, so she fits.
Yeah, that's the key when you're looking at handicapping. And we're very similar. I read your stuff and the way we kind of analyze races, and you've got to dig into that. Even you'll get a horse up here, from here that's going to Charlestown. Well, you've got the West Virginia breds. They might be in a 2 like this. The horses run 6 races. Against the right kind of competition, it's really good to take a deeper look and see what these horses have done. And those multiple winners, those 3-year-olds that are sharp, there is relief there in races like this. Let's go to the second, Dan, real quick. You're going to turn right over. Beaten claimer, 40 claimer, a mile and a 16th. We've got the fillies and mares again, right? So early pick 4 time as well. So $24 has kind of been the magic number for the early pick 4, and I thought this was extremely challenging. I ended up on a single in race 5 just to make it reasonable. 3 deep to get you started with the 1. She's a Rolling Stone, the 5 Misty's Banshee, and the 6 Annihilate. Brittany kind of loaded, it looks like, in there, and this off track might move up the 5. We'll see. 4 deep in the 3rd with the 1, 3, 5, and 6. We're going to go 4 deep again. Couldn't make heads or tails. This was the 4th race, right? Really, really tough race for me. 1, 2, 3, 6. Singling Minx's Hips Don't Lie in race number 5. There's your single. I think gets a little assist with one of the speeds coming out. $24 for that early pick 4. Race 2, Dan, top selection, I think we agree, Annihilate, right?
Well, Annihilate has had a very interesting sort of road to this race for a horse that's only started 4 times. She was with Brad Cox in New York back in 2021. Look at the horses she was in against. In her debut, she's in against McCulloch and Consumer Spending, who are now multiple graded stakes winners. And in her one and only dirt race at Belmont, she just had the misfortune to catch a horse named Nest, who was making her career debut that day. She's pretty good. She'll probably be champion 3-year-old filly of 2022. Now, unfortunately, Annihilate missed some time after that race, and we have to assume there was a little bit of an injury. But she came back for 40. She won on turf. She was in a little tough last time out against another Brittany runner, Full Count Felicia. I think if she runs her dirt race and just shows a little bit of improvement, this is her level right now at 40.
And I think the dirt is just fine. Off track is going to be okay. That bottom side of the mare was a grade 3 winner. I like the fact, this is an angle I go to a lot. First time Lasix dirt. Horses off a little time, changing surfaces, and now getting Lasix on that surface change. This is going to work, I think, for Annihilate. You've got some speed in here with the 1. She's a Rolling Stone. Vodkatini, even the 7. The 7 stumbled last time. She's going to be sent, I think, from the outside. There could be a contentious pace in here with Annihilate lurking. Misty's Banshee, the 5, you don't have her into the mix. But what are your thoughts about that one kind of blowout win over a muddy sealed surface going on the way back in September of 21?
Oh, that was a very impressive performance. It was the one and only race this horse showed any kind of speed at all. Now, going back in my notes, I thought that racetrack did favor speed. It was an off-turf race. I do question the overall quality of it. And while she hasn't shown speed in her last 3 starts, she's returning off a layoff. She should be fresh in this race. And there is speed to set her up. So I think she can come from off of the pace. It'll be interesting to see what we get off the layoff.
Exactly. I mean, the works are good coming into this. Proven family, deep family. She's a Rolling Stone. The 1, she draws inside, stretches out. Now, you might think, well, the 1 try at a mile was not good. She's going to go 2 turns, but something must have been amiss there because she had the layoff, the longer layoff after that dismal try at a mile over this racetrack. I think she works. Taylor Jagger was okay going long. I don't think she necessarily needs to lead. So if this 7 really wants to go from the outside, she can sit a little stalking, tracking trip inside.
As we say all the time, these mile and a 16th races on the main track at Laurel Park, you want to be inside. She draws the rail. She has the tactical speed to get there. And as she's stretching out in distance, she will be forwardly placed. And this is some class relief. I mean, last time out, she was in against Quiet Imagination, a horse that came back to win at Charlestown with a 65 Beyer speed figure. Her numbers fit. And I still think she's lightly raced enough that we may not have seen her best.
Yep. Vodkatini, real quick, we'll touch on her. You've got her 2nd. You had a little note. I think I read your stuff. Little trouble out of the gate, a little hop, and then had to get in position. But she was up against a 2-5 Jamie Ness shot.
She was up against a 2-5 Jamie Ness shot. It's hard to analyze these short 4-horse fields. She didn't break very well. She prompted that horse. She was put on a hard chase. She was second best. She has to prove that race isn't a fluke, but her dirt races are okay. I think she's a little muddied up by the turf form.
Yeah, exactly. It'll be interesting to see what kind of trip she gets in here. I don't think she's quite as quick as the 7. I don't know if she's quite as quick as she's a Rolling Stone. Will she have the stamina? She closed off the pace here going a mile, I believe, on the go back. We'll see if she can rate and have some finish in race number 2. Let's go ahead and go to the 3rd here real quick. Starter allowance. Fillies and mares. This is a nickel starter going 6 furlongs. Your top selection, the 2, Melodious Singer. We talked about this upstairs. We've got some PA shippers coming in with some sharp form.
Well, this horse is coming in for a barn that sent out some live horses at Laurel. 3 for 6 in Maryland this year, 323 ROI. Melodious Singer just looked good last time out, winning at Penn National. Hopped a bit herself at the start, but just soon cleared to make the lead in the rail and kept right on going. Maybe not exactly the way you want your odds-on horse to win. She only was winning by a length and 3/4. My main concern for a horse that's very sharp and looking for her 4th straight is that this pace could get hot. We may have a barbecue.
Yes, I think it's going to be sizzling. Melodious Singer, if these horses, come out cleanly, if they all get a fair break, Melodious Singer's quick, peak of chic.
Very
I went
fast.
back and watched that race at Parks last time. Let me tell you something. She vied outside of a pretty quick horse and just put her away easily, moved away on the turn, and dug in late to last. So we'll see if this outer portion of the racetrack can carry her a little bit farther. She's going to have to deal with Targe. I go, Targe, Betcha by golly. I'm going to stick with the locals in here, the ones that have the experience over this racetrack. Betcha by golly, a little bit of a price user here. Giron Barbosa is back. He's won on this horse. She's had some tricky trips. A little premature move maybe last time, a little keen after being bumped around. We see that happen. Looks like her form's tailed up. You talk about dirtied up, but I think she drafts into a very good trip here behind the speed.
I think she's going to settle into a good trip because she is far from being this stone one-run closer that's going to be completely outpaced. The last time Barbosa was aboard, she actually went to the lead and made the front. But looking back on some of her races, 3 back at Pimlico, you could say, well, she didn't run well on a wet track. That racetrack was rail favoring.
Yeah.
She was on the outside. Throw it out. Her last 2, she was in against a very sharp horse in Marvelous. This filly loves a wet track. I think you might be onto something here.
Yeah, little price user and Targe. I think Targe, the wet track is going to move her up as well. You see, she's bounced back off a dismal, I'd say subpar performances for her. She's gone onto this wet track and done well. A couple races back, but she beats Paisley Singing from just off the base. A proven 2 other than allowance kind of horse. So she might get a little bit of relief in here. And I think she's got the rating gear just behind these horses. In this barn, sneaky, they don't run a lot of horses, but a high percentage. I had a little note here the last, 90 days, 31% with an ROI close to $6. Pretty good.
Now, that rating here is going to come in very handy because, as you mentioned, Peak of Chic is very fast out of the gate. This Penn National horse might be facing a faster pace scenario than she has faced in her last few, so demand value.
You have to, exactly. I love that term. That's every day demand the value because I don't think you can take 2 to 1, 9 to 5 on any of these shippers in here. No, you can't do it. Let's go to the fourth race. We've got a pick 6 carryover. It's kind of live, a couple days. Nobody's hit it. So if you can join in, 12,306. There's your target on this afternoon's card. It's not going to be easy, ladies and gentlemen. Race 4, we've got a scratch of the 7, Wild Behavior. This was a race I take a stab on Montauk Daddy. You're going to go with the 2, Rad Paisley. We've got a stat for Rad Paisley.
This is Kieran McGee moving from allowance into claiming races, and Kieran is 7 for the last 11, 64%, $5.56 return on investment. That's just a huge number. Now, that's great for Rad Paisley. The concern with Rad Paisley is twofold. A, it's the wet track. While she is a half to a wet track winner and the second dam earned a 95 Beyer speed figure on the wet, Rad Paisley himself has not exactly run well on a wet track. To me, the bigger concern is the 7 furlongs. This horse is a 5.5 to 6 furlong specialist, and while he has speed and I think is going to be on the rail, there are also other speeds in this race. I'm hoping speed carries.
No doubt. And there's your stat again. Emphasize it, Kieran. It's 7 for his last 11. That's awesome. 64% allowance to dirt. Claimer. Okay. Gets a major assist, though. Wild Behavior coming out of this race, I think certainly helps his chances because he's shown some pretty good speed in the past. He's also going to have to deal with a horse like Valiant Vinny and possibly Montauk Daddy. I'll throw the 3. I'll touch on him really quick. Short rest. This is common for the Norman Cash runners. First off the claim. Just taking a stab, the last time this horse has seen a sloppy sealed surface, it was at Monmouth, was able to rebid off of a pretty good pace, finished up at 5.5, held firm. That horse, Legal Deal, is a good, this is a 9-time winner for a very high percentage barn. This horse came back to run a couple big figures, an 81 and an 85 since that. So I think Montauk Daddy, a little shot at a price in here. Just worried about, again, a couple of these horses at 7/8. Can they sustain?
That's a big question mark. The thing that I do like about Montauk Daddy is A, he's got a lot of back class. He was stakes placed earlier in his career. B, you mentioned Lynn Cash, 6 for the last 18, $2.78 ROI. Wow. He's got 2 today in the Cigar Mile. This barn is smoking. And you mentioned that key scratch of the horse on the outside. Doesn't Montauk Daddy just take up a great spot tracking Rad Paisley from the 2 path, and he's going to attack, and he might have more stamina.
And I think with a rider like Karamanos, he'll kind of reach up, give him a little bit of a firm hold. Maybe I don't think he wants to quite go with Rad Paisley, and maybe hopefully that this 5 Valiant Vinny goes and applies that pressure. He could be lurking, but can he still get that 7/8 from that middle move if he makes it at the 5/16 pole?
And conversely, Keith, is 7 furlongs too sharp for Can't Pass It Up? We haven't seen in about 100 years, and is coming off of a long layoff, and he does not appreciate the scratch of Wild Behavior because he is a one-run closer that needs some pace, but he has races.
Absolutely. I know we're in a couple counties here at Laurel Park with the property. He's going to be in one of them. The others will be over here. Yeah, he has no speed, but this is a barn that's sneaky, sneaky good. They've hit over a high percentage over the last several years. Don't run a lot of horses, but you have to take notice. His horse, look at the stats down to the bottom on your daily racing form, plus 180 days, 30% with a 471 ROI. Winners last out. 56%. I know it's off the break. He's going to get flow. He just might be a little too late.
And the trainer does have 2 winners this year, layoff horses 300 days or greater.
All right, let's go to the 5th. We've got a late pick 5. Nobody could get it yesterday. I mean, we had a big payout too, I think, in the early pick 4 yesterday. Some they weren't huge prices down yesterday's card, but tough to string them together. And there you go, 52.70. We're going to probably be up in that $15,000, $20,000 range easily, I would think, this afternoon.
With that industry low 12% takeout, you have to get involved in a situation like this. It's a 50-cent wager. You can actually create multiple tickets, the old Steve Chris ticket maker angle.
Yes.
And I think you're supposed to sort of wait your opinions in this. There's a great opportunity, I think, for prices here. A lot of folks are going to be maybe singling Post Time or Johnny Z from Albany. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on. In that situation, do you single one? You have to have an opinion, right? You can't take both in the bag.
I would single one. And my single will be Post Time when I make my ticket. But we'll start back here with the 5th. Let's get into the 5th. Scratch the 1, El Tula, who I thought had a shot here for Corrales, and scratch the 7, Buck Wild, who I think is going to be a key scratch for my top selection. So the 5th race, maiden claiming, these are 2-year-old boys, 12-5 variety. You kind of go outside and taking a shot here, bucking a trend, an 0 for 45 trend for the most recent with the first starts. But, man, if there's ever a race, this is it for Tim Keith.
I think that's really the situation. I looked at a lot of these horses' last races. You can see basically from a buyer speed figure standpoint, the best last buyer is a 27. You might want to look for a new face. Now, Tim Keith is a very good trainer that likes to take his time with his horses, often gives them 1 or 2. I just think if Ask Him Oki can run a little bit at all, he should be in the mix here. The dam was a multiple stakes placed horse at Charlestown, won 3 times over a wet track. The second dam won over wet. So I'm fairly confident that the wet track will be okay. Tim's horses, first time starters, don't show a lot of speed, so maybe he's going to have to come from out of it.
I agree. There's not a slew of speed in here. And another little plus for Ask Him Oki. I like both siblings, I don't know if you touched upon that, hit the board first time out. So that's a positive there for that first time starter. I go with the 4, and Minx's Hips Don't Lie. I love the name here. In from Parks in some state-bred maiden special weight races and faced good horses the first 2 times. This is a definite class drop. Blinkers went on last time, showed some speed to the inside of a next out stakes winner. I know you wrote an article, so check that out on Winning Time. But I think the off track is going to be fine. You've got Barbosa. You know he likes to be aggressive. I think this horse just goes ahead and sends. They protected this horse the last 5/16 of a mile. Jockey Sanchez, he knew it wasn't getting there. Just a kind of a retreat in hand, as I would have put it. So I'm not worried about the beaten margin there of 33 lengths.
If this horse could stay within 3 lengths of the fleet winning time at the pace call, he's going to be in front in this race if he breaks. And that is probably more than half the battle in a field where these horses are struggling to find their own identity. This just is a great class drop for Minx's Hip Don't Lie. The horse is going to be forwardly placed. And again, it's a completely different stratosphere from a class perspective.
Absolutely, I agree. I think we both have to use, Duke of Dooley looks logical to hit the exactas and try. Is going to be a tough horse to leave out for Hammy Smith. He's done well of recent note with these horses dropping 50% or more in the claiming price in the maiden claiming ranks. It's a positive move for him. Turning back in distance. Do you think Duke of Dooley has enough speed to even stay close enough to strike?
I think he does, because this race might not have a ton of speed at all. And it is worth noting that while this horse is turning back in distance, his career best buyer speed figure came sprinting over a wet track. And you did mention the barn, 9 for the last 26, 35%, 356 with maiden claimers on dirt, dropping 50% in claiming price. That's a great stat.
Absolutely. Anybody in here you want to touch upon a little bit of a price? We've got the 9 in there. Danny's Winkster, just an outside maybe speed presence to me if the track kind of plays to that outside to touch upon. That's good. That's the first 5. We're going to hit a little commercial break and come back for the late pick 4. Late pick 4 time here at Laurel on this Saturday card over a sloppy track. Dan Ellman, Keith Fustel here with you. This is a good race, race 6 to get you started. Scratch the 6 Prairie. This is an optional 2 other than going 7/8 of a mile. Lots of ways to go. There's plenty of speed. We've got some tactical horses, some closers. Who do you like?
I like Savoy as my value play of the day. You made him 6-1 on the morning line. I think that's certainly fair. We have a video spotlight to show Savoy's most recent race. He had a very good trip in this race, but he also made 2 moves. He actually broke on top, was out sprinted, had to sit off the pace. You're going to see he gets a beautiful split coming into the stretch, but I love the way he surged on through, and he won as much the best. And now he's paired up 81 Beyer tops in his last races, and to me, that often is an indicator of another forward move. Mario Serret loves to wheel horses back on short notice. He's 7 for his last 14 with a $9.16 ROI, returning horses on 7 days or less, and as you see, he likes a wet track.
Absolutely. You said it perfectly, what you caught. I watched this video again this morning, the 2 moves. I love it. They're so sharp. The horse showed the speed, took back and didn't fight the rider, just did it smoothly, did Grant Whitaker, and then found that seam and kicked away. You saw him going past the wire. He had a little bit left in the tank. 5.5 to 7 doesn't concern me. This is a horse been able to handle a little bit longer distance. So I'm definitely got Savoy on top. He'll come down, I think, a little bit off of that line with the scratch of Prairie. Outside speed, John the Bear, Treasure Tradition, but I think you've really got to worry about Dan back in the woods.
He's the main speed.
He's got the track that he likes. You saw him sizzle and go out there in the Shaladon and carried it a long, long way. He's dangerous on a wet track.
He carried it a long, long way, and then in his next race, he caught Radical Right. And we know that Radical Right is a stakes horse right now. Back in the woods is getting a little bit of class relief. The key to this race is whether John the Bear, a horse who made just an easy lead over a speed-friendly track last time out, can put pressure on Back in the Woods. If not, Back in the Woods over a wet track that he loves could be long gone.
And that's why, Savoy, back him up a little bit as well, because I think you're going to have those chasers. He'll be the one to sit maybe in that second flight and make that move into it. Treasure Tradition, John the Bear doing the dirty work, chasing Back in the Woods. But Treasure Tradition was sharp last time. This 9-horse for Rodney Jenkins took a couple challenges around the quarter pole, was able to kick away. I think he's in top form. Let's see. I think Back in the Woods, yes.
Dixie Draw, let's talk about a little bit.
Dixie Draw, let's go to him real quick. He's kind of got that grinding style.
He has that grinding style. 7, I guess, is a bit of a question mark. But if they go fast, I think he has the class and the ability to kick on late. His last race, if you get a chance to watch it, wider than wide. He had absolutely no chance in that race. There was not a lot of pace going on. He was 4 wide around the track, and he was still fighting at the end. He's caught some tough horses. The Accelerators, the Ben and Joes. Maybe a sneaky little hidden class relief here.
There ain't the beer cold. The list goes on and on for Dixie Draw. Absolutely. He's going to get flowing here, and he certainly should be charging late. Let's go to the 7th. Here we go. Starting our stakes. 2-year-olds. They're our feature here today. Maryland sired, all right, and Maryland bred. And we're going to kick it off with the juvenile fillies. 7/8 of a mile. This I thought was a tough race to line for me. I thought the safe play was Cheekiness. I could see a lot of money coming in on Malibu Moonshine. You like the 9 Skylar Sister. We've got a video. We'll go to that first. Give me your thoughts on her.
Skylar Sister's down inside in the video spotlight as we see, and you're going to see she's in behind a little bit of a dullard, Basarati, who scratches today. And maybe this shuffle took a little bit of the starch out of her, but you're going to notice she gets to the outside, and look who she's right behind. She's right behind Chickiness. I am a little disappointed that she doesn't get past Chickiness in the stretch in this race. But I think she has shown progression in some of her starts for Dale, who's 8 for his last 23 with a positive ROI in dirt sprints. I want to give this horse one more chance. Maybe I'm just was fooled by that sparkling debut rally on turf.
I had her. I liked her in the Maryland Million Lassie at that price, and a real game second behind
hard
Cheekiness.
chase that day.
I just thought here, all things being equal, I think Cheekiness had the more difficult trip because she was kind of up in between early, something that I don't know if she was really comfortable with, and then she was able to just outrun Skylar's Sister on even terms from the quarter pole home.
I wonder about the 7, because I talked to Jamie for the DRF articles I wrote about this race, and he's a little bit concerned about 7 for Chickiness, who's not the biggest horse in the race. She probably weighs in at about 950 pounds, but she does have good tactical speed. Her win in the Maryland Million Lassie was very game, because it looked like for an instant she was beat.
It did. It did. She was kind of spinning her wheels a little bit, leaving the 3/8, and she finally got it together. The field kind of came back to her a little bit there, and then got it done late. Blofeld's Harlan's Holiday, the breeding suggests she should be able to handle, but we're going to trust in the trainer. I think with the scratch of Maserati, she is going to be tactical in here. She's going to be put into the race and sitting a good stalking trip. I like Gormley's Gabriella at a little bit of a price. Hammy won this race last year, right, with Luna Bell. Why not make it 2 for 2 a couple years back? He won it with Money from Heaven back in 18. This filly right now, I think, is just ready to pop and run her best race. She's setting her up beautifully. 5.5 to 6. Didn't quite have the flow last time.
You're absolutely right about that. And race shape is so often a handicapping angle that's ignored.
Yeah.
This horse last time out was in against, I think, a better horse than what she's facing here. Twice as sweet was that nice horse coming up from Kentucky. There was no pace in the race. Gormley's Gabriella still rallied to get up for third. There should be more hitting up front. She's running late at a price for Barbosa, who wins everything around here.
I think he'll find that trip. Last time he held the inside. He'll sneak up the inside mid-turn and then have to work it out from there. She was very determined late. I like the effort she brought last time out in the Smart Halo Stakes. Let's talk a little bit about your 6-horse Liquidator at a price here for Linda Albert.
Interesting horse. Is going to have to obviously prove it against more difficult competition, but this horse made a very smooth 3-wide bid to the lead under ties. Looked like she was on her way, and look like she started waiting on horses. And the favorite got to her neck, and she just dug right in and kept on finding a little bit more. I think there's something here for Liquidator, who has won on a wet track. I want to talk about fast track, talk about a game debut. She dug in every step of the way.
Well, this is, you've probably got notes on the family, but this is a good family. I mean, you've got
Beauty?
Win Early, Malibu Beauty, you've got a Steady Warrior and a couple other ones that have serious talent and have handled it off track. This horse, a dead game every step of the way.
At 7.
Under pressure at 7/8 of a mile. I think this one will get a beautiful trip here with the scratch of Maserati. Wouldn't surprise me to see them put her into the race early. We'll talk real quick on the one. Malibu Moonshine kind of gets a track like she had at Pimlico on debut. Where has she been? I know you've talked to Charlie Baker a little bit, got some info.
Charlie told me that this horse was entered in the stake the last time these 2-year-old fillies ran. She got sick. She missed some time. Charlie says he wishes she had a couple more works. Doesn't every trainer say that? This horse showed some ability first time out, broke very slow over that wet track, came widest, and was able to run them all down. I'm concerned about the rail if she breaks slow again.
Yeah, and reading your stuff, it seems like she's got some natural speed. If she breaks, she's certainly going to be in the race. It's just the inconsistency of works. Is she going to be dead fit, tied on to kind of get past this group? She's got the talent. It's there. Obviously proven over this type of surface. The family is good. It's a win early kind of a family. I think she's a player. Can she just get over the top with that lack of seasoning? We shall see. Let's go to the 8th. Let's go to the Juvenile. I know we're running a little short on time here. And, man, we've got ourselves a horse race. 7 horses, shorter field, but all the emphasis is going to come in on Post Time and Johnny Z from Albany.
We've got a video spotlight for Post Time, just brilliant in his first 2 races. And it's funny because it looks like he doesn't know what he's doing. He's green, he's in his debut, he's on his wrong lead, and he's weaving and bobbing. But he has this burst of speed that makes you think he's a stakes horse, if not a potential star in this region. Look at this just smooth bid under Eric Camacho, who works this horse in the morning. You know, you look at the jockey stats in the paper, you see Eric Camacho's 2 for 2, you think he's some green apprentice. No, he's won about 750 races, graded stakes from all over the country, and is Brittany's #1 rider. But look at how green he is. He's wide, he's going to start drifting, and he's just toying with these horses.
He just toys them, just oozes of talent, you know, just trying to put it all together mentally. I'd seen Eric Camacho and Sheldon Russell at Timonium a couple months ago, and I was like, what's going on, you guys? And I'm thinking, what are you guys hanging together here? All of a sudden, I knew they had a couple horses in the same race, and Sheldon had another one in there, and this is the one, and just absolutely whistled Post Time in debut. Came back, Valentine's Day came back with a big number. Will Post Time from the rail be able to kind of get out of there clean enough? I think he can let things develop. It looks like he's got to turn a foot whenever you want it as well. But he's going to have to run down Johnny Z from Albany, and it looks like Coffee with Chris is going to be part of that flow as well.
Well, the break is key. Brittany told me when I was talking to her for the race advance, does not like the inside post for Post Time because, as she said, this horse has a funny brain. But Johnny Z from Albany is more of a lunch pail horse. He's very professional. He acts like an older sort. You know he's going to go to the lead. He's certainly bred for a wet track. Blofeld, 21%. The question is the 7. Dale isn't sure about it.
Yeah, we'll see. We talked to the family early was sprint. They stretch out Monster sleeping on the turf. I think he's going to be fine. I think if the 6 wants to go, who added the blinkers last time here for Salzman, who's pretty game. I mean, I gave the grudgingly comment to Coffee with Chris. He's going to have to deal with that rival, but I think he can stay the 7. 7 horse, Feeling Woozy, was really good for Hammy last time out. You see my short comment. I don't dull that a lot. Handy were really tough. That's one thing Bill and I were watching these races. A lot of charcoal. You know, they might get fooled a little bit. This horse had something left. Really, the light bulb went on. I don't think he's as fast as a couple horses to his inside. Let's see if he can relax and make a move.
Outside post helps a horse.
Yeah.
A, no kickback with slop in his face. B, just a nice clean trip in the clear, free of traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go to the nightcap here. The 9th, we're going to have a shorter price horse here in the 3 cents, and scratch the 5, Hot Choice, scratch the 7, Rosy Apple. Split condition, just like we saw earlier, the 10 down, the 8 for the fillies and mares.
Yeah, Senson's the horse to beat in here. He won 3 in a row. Mario stepped him up for 20, understandably, after winning 3 consecutive times for the dime, and just didn't show that sort of tactical speed last time out. Was last on the rail on the turn, altered course to the outside. Didn't love the way she finished up, but dropping back down to 10, she'll be closer to the pace. She likes a wet track.
Agreed. I think she's going to be tough to, be off of the lead, maybe a length or 2 into the turn if they want to be a little bit of aggressive with her. I think they can. Miss Casey's got some speed to the outside, but this drop-in class, she is a 4-time winner taking advantage of the competition. Should get it done. Illusion of Hope, also out of that Red Queen race, and Dilemma Riley as users underneath in the exact.
2 horses that had some traffic issues in that race. Illusion of Hope was squeezed when she was commencing her rally, turning for home, and Dilemma Riley wanted to get to the outside, was sort of hemmed in and still finished. I think she might have had a sneaky trip in that race. If Senson doesn't fire, that's one I'm going to consider.
All right, that's it. There we go. Hopefully, we'll get a little bit more value. But man, she looks awfully tough at 6-5 in the 9th. A really good card here. We're looking forward to it. I tell you, those 2 stakes are good. We've got a couple starter allowances races, the 2 other than. So get tied on. We've got a best bet and a value play for both of us. I'll let you lead the way, Dan.
Best bet in the opener, Meraviglioso. Just we saw the video spotlight. Really like that performance, but the horse has to be 2-1 or greater. In a race like this, I don't want to take anything less. She's 8-5 right now, so keep an eye on the board.
All right, your value play?
Value play, I'm going to go with Savoy. Wheeling right back, looking for another win.
Agreed. I like Savoy in there a lot. My best bet, I think we can get this one to the front on the class drop and hold on.
Oh, yeah.
Minx's Hip Don't Lie for Trombetta and Barbosa. Let's go ahead and send and take them wire to wire. Value play comes a little bit later in the stake in the Juvenile Philly Championship. The 3, Gormley's Gabrielle, going to need a little bit of a setup, but I think she's moving in the right direction. She's going to bring a finish. I don't think she's Luna Bell just yet, but she's got that fight in her like Luna Bell. I think she's going to show it this afternoon. That's going to do it for today at the races. And remember, 9-race card, sloppy conditions. Dan, thanks for coming out.
Always appreciate it.
We've got the Giving Tree, so take advantage of that, guys. We're going to send it up to Dave Rodman for scratches and changes.
Good luck.